Good evening, everyone. It's Craig Marchant here, coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia. It's 11:09 p.m. at night, which is a bit late to be doing a Facebook Live and streaming everywhere, but why not? So I wanted to talk about two things today. The first one is an article that my wife linked me to in the Herald Sun here in Victoria. And the second is to talk a bit about my book and the contents of that book and everything like that. So first off, the article that my wife Kendyl linked me to was talking about the Victorian Mental Health crisis at the moment, which has been fueled by the COVID-19 lockdown. So the basis of the article was that everyone's really suffered with the lockdown with mental health, but it seems that the younger generations, kids, have been hit the hardest. And the article was saying that there's been a deal of uncertainty for the younger generation because they don't know what the future holds for them, and they've lost hope. And there's been a big uptick in the cases of violent or self-harm. So look, that in itself is quite a worrying trend that's been happening. Obviously, lockdown here in Melbourne is now slowly starting to ease, and restrictions are easing as we go, which is nice. Let's hope that we don't end up with some sort of third wave or something, God forbid. But it mirrors some information that I got from the nurses at one of the children's hospitals here, Monash Children's, the Stepping Stones unit, which deals with adolescents. And the admitting nurse there actually said to me that they had seen the same uptick in the number of youths coming through the system with sort of losing hope and what the future brings, holds for them, and how they feel about that. And there's obviously the cases of self-harm, which as I said, it's quite a worrisome thing. So let's hope that we've seen the worst of this, and it's now behind us. There have been some investments in the mental health system by the the state and federal governments. Increasing the number of Medicare sessions that are funded by the public for people who've been expressly inconvenienced, if you want, by the lockdown itself. So I think it's up to 20 sessions now. Which I believe lasts until March of next year, and then we all fall back onto the 10 sessions that are normally covered by Medicare. So let's, as I said, let's hope that that's the end of it, or at least we're past the really harsh parts. This virus is going to stick around for a while. And we have to be prepared for that. But I don't think that shutting down an entire state or a capital city is really the way to do it anymore. It's causing too many problems. The governments really need to, if they were smart, the federal government would reach out to every state and actually say, right, give us your game plan. What did you do? And then analyze and say, okay, so what were the aspects that were good and worked for one state but didn't work for another state, and come up with a combined plan that we can use on a national basis, because it's happened now, with the virus. So who's to say that something else won't come along in a couple of years' time? I really hope it doesn't, but if it does, it would be nice to have a united sort of national strategy that we can all work with, instead of having to ad-lib it ad hoc. And come up with something that we don't know, the effects it's going to have on everyone. So moving on, I'm also wanted to talk about my book. So my book, Conquer Your Inner Demons, the ultimate guide to better mental health. I wrote this to help other people that suffer from mental health illnesses, to show them that you can actually do a lot of things in this life, even if you do have those illnesses. So this actually is my proof copy that came yesterday afternoon, actually. And I'm really impressed. Like, up until now, it had been a Word document or a PDF that I hadn't actually, sort of held in my hand, so to speak. And I've been really impressed with, the quality of the book, and how it looks, and even the content of the pages. As you can see, like there's, I'll try and get it a bit there. There's bits about the Inca Trail there, and my self-help chapters and everything. So I'm hoping that the book can help other people, and I want you to know that just because I'm on this live right here, right now, okay, and you can see me and I can interact with you, and I look okay. If you go back a couple of weeks ago, I had an absolutely massive meltdown. I cannot tell you how big it was. It's probably the worst one I've had since my early 20s, when I was attempting suicide. And, there were two things I was holding in front of me throughout that whole, that whole session just a couple of weeks ago. And that was that, number one, I wouldn't do that to my wife and my kids, because, they need their, my wife needs a husband and my kids need their father. And number two is that it would break a promise that I made to myself many years ago when I was in the ICU of our local hospital, which was that I wouldn't do this anymore. I wouldn't attempt to, take my own life anymore, and that I was just going to accept it for what it is. And some days there are really good days, and some days it's not so good. But you have to take the good with the bad, I feel. And as part of that, I sort of wrote that book, which I'm really proud of, and I'm really happy that I've managed to do that. As I mentioned, obviously I had a bit of a mental breakdown a couple of weeks ago, and so I've actually written sort of, I guess what you would say, as a follow-up ebook to this actual book now. So it's funny, the physical book itself hasn't even been bulk printed yet. I've just sent off the approval for that, so the bulk printing process starts now. But I'd already written this new ebook that's a follow-on to my physical book here, and I've gone through and sort of examined the year that was, the things that I probably, the different things that sort of tipped me over the edge, the actual episode itself, and the impact it had on me and my family members. And then to round it off, the ability to look back over the entire year and the episodes and work out what were the things that weren't so smart that I actually did. And I came up with three things. So the first one was I didn't prioritize self-care. So that's a big one. I wasn't looking after myself. I was too busy concentrating on everyone else and didn't think to look after me. The second one was coming off my medication during a global pandemic, shall we say, a world crisis. Probably not the smartest move I've ever made, but it is what it is, and that's it. Nothing much more I can say about that. And the third one, which I think is eluding me right now, there's actually a third one. It's gone. My short-term memory is terrible. Ask anyone who knows me. But it is in the ebook, and I will be making that ebook available in the next week or two. I'm just getting it all fixed up and ready to roll. And that'll be available as a free download for everyone, as a sort of a follow-on to my actual book. To give people an indication, because my story doesn't finish with just this book. Basically this book covers up to, let's say, the middle of this year. So I've now gone and examined the rest of the year and before it, and have created that ebook. And the express purpose of that is to help others, to learn to sort of look back over the the year and try and do a bit of analysis and look at it and try and identify the triggers, the things that caused you to go down. So you can try and avoid it, next time. And I've come to this conclusion. So I have schizoaffective disorder, which generally indicates that you have huge depressive episodes mixed in with psychotic features, so visual and audio hallucinations. The visual and audio hallucinations are pretty, they don't happen often, every now and then, and so I take a Zyprexa tablet, olanzapine, I think is the brand name, to help with that, and it does the job pretty well. So that, that's a good thing. But I've just recently, I think I've come to the realization that I have a form of bipolar mixed in with the psychotic features, as well as the major depressive episodes that go with that. And so I was talking to my psychologist about that today, actually, because I had a session with him today, and I've got a bipolar self-test here that I'm going to fill out. So he gave me a copy. I think this one's from the Black Dog Institute. So it looks pretty good. I seem to tick a lot of the boxes there, which is a bit scary. But having another label, it doesn't really do much for me, because I've already really worked with and identified the issues that pop up from that. And that's the thing, if you do have mental health illnesses, when you've got the good times, try and look back over it and see if you can identify triggers and things that will help you, manage your illness moving forward, so you can live, the best life you can. No one deserves to be miserable and all and everything like that. So look, anyway, I'll probably gas bag long enough. It's 13 minutes I've been talking for now, and it was only 2 topics I meant to sort of go with. So I want to thank you if you tuned in and listened. There's a couple of people that have made some comments there, so I'll definitely come back and look over those and answer where I can. And yeah, look, as I said the last time I did a stream, I'm trying to do these more often now, and just as fair warning, sometimes I'm going to be like this where I'm actually pretty good. Sometimes you're going to find I'm going to be really excitable, which is the sort of the mania or manic symptoms. And other times you'll probably almost see me crying into my cornflakes, which is my favorite saying for I'm really depressed. And I'm just going to keep doing those because I want to be genuine, and I want people to see that, even though it looks like I've got everything together, looks aren't everything. They really aren't. And there's many times there, you could ask my family, my wife, my kids, what's dad like sometimes? And they'll tell you, oh yeah, sometimes he's like totally like, whew, he's had like 20 Red Bulls and I'm firing on all engines and work output goes up to 300%. It is just, nothing can stop me. I get into a normal period and, work output's about 80 to 100%. When I get my real lows, that's when work output gets really low. So Yeah, anyway, I'm going to wrap it up at that. Thanks everyone for tuning in who's sort of jumped in and jumped out. Really appreciate it. And I'll talk to everyone soon again. Okay, thanks everyone. Bye bye.